ever thought about what happens when a story doesn't just end? When it closes not with a period, but with a promise. Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today as we explore the final incredible chapters of the book of Genesis. And this isn't just about tying up loose ends. Nope, it's like a masterclass in setting the stage for the birth of a nation. And it's packed with shocking prophecies, a really surprising inheritance, and a moment of forgiveness so profound it still gives you chill. This prayer really sets the tone for everything we're about to cover. It captures the whole spirit of these last chapters, right? It's a story all about a father, Jacob, passing on a legacy and blessing the generations that are going to follow him. It's a great reminder that the end of Genesis isn't really about death, but about the lasting power of family, faith, and the promises of God.
All right, ready to jump in? Here's our game plan. We're going to start with a shocking twist in the family inheritance. Then we'll get into those famous prophecies that literally shaped the 12 tribes. After that, we're talking about one of the biggest funerals in the Bible, followed by an incredible moment of forgiveness. And we'll wrap it all up by seeing how Genesis ends, not with a conclusion, but with a promise that sets up everything that comes next.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in Egypt. An old man is on his deathbed. It's Jacob. He's 147 years old, and he knows the end is near. But before he goes, he's about to make a decision that won't just reshape his family's future, but will kick off a chain of events that will, literally, change the course of history.
So Jacob does something that to us might seem a little odd. He adopts his own grandsons, Ephraim and Manasseh. But here's the thing. This was actually a pretty common practice back then. And it wasn't just some sentimental move. No way. By making them his own sons, Jacob is essentially giving Joseph the double portion of the inheritance. That's the slice usually reserved for the firstborn. It's a really clever move, and it shows just how much he valued Joseph.
So Joseph, he's doing everything by the book. He brings his two sons to his dad's bedside, and he positions them just right. The older son, Manasseh, goes to Jacob's right hand for the big blessing. The younger son, Ephraim, to his left. Everything is perfectly set up according to tradition. But what happens next? Well, nobody saw it coming.
And then Jacob does something completely unexpected. Even though he's old and can barely see, he deliberately crosses his hands. He puts his right hand on the younger son and his left on the older one. Joseph is just floored. He thinks his dad is confused, making a huge mistake. But here's the kicker. It's not a mistake at all. It's totally intentional. So what on earth is going on?
Okay, to get this, you have to understand the symbolism. Back then, the right hand was everything. It meant power, honor, the greater blessing. So when Jacob crossed his arms, he was making a huge statement. He was basically saying that God's favor doesn't follow our human rules of birth order. And this is a theme we see all through Genesis, right? God constantly choosing the younger over the older, the unexpected choice. It's a massive reminder that God's plans are often way different from ours.
And Jacob's not done, not by a long shot. He gathers all 12 of his sons around him, and one by one, he gives each of them a prophecy. And these aren't just vague fortunes, These are powerful, destiny-shaping words that will define the 12 tribes of Israel for generations.
And man, these prophecies are so vivid. It's like he paints a picture for each tribe. You've got Reuben, the firstborn, who loses his birthright. Simeon and Levi, the violent ones, are told they'll be scattered. But then you get these amazing, powerful images. Judah is called a lion's cub, the line of kings. Joseph is a fruitful vine. Benjamin, a ravenous wolf. Just incredible imagery.
But out of all of them, one prophecy stands out. It's the one for Judah. Jacob says the scepter, this symbol of a king, will not depart from Judah. This is a massive deal. It's basically saying that Israel's future kings, including the legendary King David, are going to come from Judah's line. And of course, for Christians, this points even further down the road, to the Messiah.
So after he says all this, Jacob's time is up. He breathes his last. His long, incredible life is over. But here's the thing. Even though he dies in Egypt, his heart is somewhere else. It's in the land God promised to his family, a place he hasn't seen in years, the land of Canaan.
And Jacob's last request is so important. He tells his sons, "Don't bury me here. Bury me with my fathers in the cave of Machpelah." And this isn't just about family tradition. It's a huge statement of faith. By wanting to be buried back in Canaan, he's planting a flag, saying, "This land is ours. God promised it, and we will be back." His body literally becomes a placeholder, a symbol of that promise. The Egyptians had come to really respect Jacob, so they give him a funeral that's basically fit for a pharaoh. The entire country mourns for weeks. And then this huge procession with Joseph and all of Egypt's top officials makes the long trip to Canaan. It just goes to show you the kind of impact this one man of faith had on a whole nation. Get this, for 70 days, 70, the entire nation of Egypt mourns for Jacob. To put that into perspective, that's the exact same period of mourning they would have for their own pharaoh. That is an incredible sign of honor, showing just how deeply the Egyptians respected him and his family.
So the funeral's over, everyone's back in Egypt, and things are settling down. But for Joseph's brothers, a new feeling starts to creep in: fear. With their dad gone, they feel exposed. Their protector is gone, and now they have to face the man they sold into slavery all those years ago.
I mean, can you imagine? They're totally haunted by what they did. They start convincing themselves that Joseph was only being nice because their father was still alive. Now that Jacob's gone, they're terrified the real Joseph is going to come out looking for revenge. You could cut the tension with a knife. This is the moment of truth.
So, in total desperation, the brothers send a message to Joseph, basically begging for their lives. And his reaction? It's one of the most powerful moments in the entire Bible. Joseph, this powerful ruler, just breaks down and cries. And then he says those famous words, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." It reveals everything about his faith and the true power of forgiveness. And this isn't just words. Joseph's forgiveness is the real deal. It's a deep, genuine act of love. He pulls his brothers in, he comforts them, and he promises to take care of them and their kids for the rest of their lives. I mean, what a picture of redemption. It's the ultimate story of how God can take the absolute worst situations and turn them into something beautiful. So the story of Joseph and his brothers wraps up in this incredibly powerful way. But the book of Genesis isn't quite over yet. There's one more death to come: Joseph himself. And in his final moments, he's going to leave his family with this potent symbol of hope, a promise that's still waiting to be fulfilled. And the difference between Jacob's burial and Joseph's is so telling. It's really striking. Think about it. Jacob, the father, gets buried in the promised land. That's a promise fulfilled. But Joseph, the son, he's embalmed and placed in a coffin in Egypt. He becomes this constant physical reminder that the journey home isn't finished yet. His body is a promise that's still waiting. But Joseph's story doesn't really end in that coffin. With his last breath, he makes his family swear an oath. He says, "Look, one day God is going to lead you out of Egypt, and when he does, you have to promise me you'll carry my bones with you." It's this incredible act of faith, right? He's declaring that even in death, he's still a part of God's bigger plan. And that's how the book of Genesis ends, with this huge question just hanging in the air. You've got a coffin in Egypt holding the bones of a great leader and the weight of a huge promise. See, it's not really an ending at all, is it? It's the perfect cliffhanger, the ultimate setup for the next incredible chapter in the story, the book of Exodus.